Hey, what's up guys? Alan here with EatSleepTrade.net. Gonna be bringing you guys the swing trading watch list and market update for the week of February 21st, 2017. Tomorrow is Monday, February 20th, but the market is closed for President's Day, so keep that in mind. Go ahead and sleep in tomorrow morning. The S&P 500 has had a really strong last couple of weeks, so we're going to talk about that here coming up pretty quick. And of course, we're going to take a look at some of my favorite setups going into next week, as there are a lot of great opportunity setups going into next week. First up, guys, let's take a look at the S&P 500. If you guys remember, a few weeks ago, we were watching this resistance here right around 2280, and the market did the little fake breakout, pull back, and then continue higher. This area right here, basically any time from the end of January to the first probably week or 2 weeks of early February, the markets were extremely tough to trade. It was just super choppy. Every time you thought it was breaking out, it pulled back, and then every time you thought it was breaking down, then it started to break up to the top side again. But it did finally eventually get over these prior highs and make a nice move up, and then consolidated towards the end of last week with a strong close on Friday, closing at the highs that were set on Wednesday. So overall, the market still looks really strong. Our nice trend is continuing to hold at 20 days, well above the 50-day moving average, and as well as our longer-term trend line that we've been following now for quite a while managed to hold up, and the market went ahead and put new highs in. So we're going to be watching this 2350 area, see if we can get some continuation into next week. If we do get that continuation, there are a ton of setups right now, breakout setups, pullback setups, a lot of resistance turn support setups that are all ready to go next week if this market does continue higher. Alright guys, so there's a lot of stocks on the watch list this week, so we are going to go through them fairly quick. So if you guys have any questions or want a deeper thought on any of these, just let me know down below. But first up is AEL, and we're actually watching AEL a while back for this multi-top breakup right around 23.25, and it did eventually get out of that resistance area and actually gave it a nice pullback for a resistance turn support, and had a good earning gapped up, and then has since gone higher. So we're kind of just, I don't want to chase this up, but I'm going to watch this as a little potential flag setup. Over 27.30, 27.40 could set us up for that next leg higher. Let's take a look at AGEN, and I like this one off the bottom. Last week we had a huge relative volume day, so I don't know if news was released or what the cause of the relative volume was, but either way, it was a nice relative volume, gapped up on that day. Didn't hold it too well, but it is holding this 425 area, which is what I want to see hold as support, and if that does hold, then I think we got a shot at coming back up towards these highs here, which is right around 475 to 480. And we can even get a trend reversal off this if we do get a test back up through 480s. Could set us up for a pretty big move up and through to about 560, 580 up in this area if we get that trend reversal. Again, big volumes, really going to keep this on my radar into next week. Let's take a look at AMD. What more do you got to say on AMD? We've been trading it for quite a while now, probably over a year. I think actually last year in February is when we started trading it, so we just hit that 1 year mark, and we missed the nice earnings breakout that it had, but no big deal. It's since pulled back. We've got the 20-day support and 50-day support coming up just below it, so I'm going to watch this 1250 area. If 1250 holds, that gives us a good risk reward entry. If not, our next area is around 12 bucks that we want to see hold. If we do get an opportunity down towards 12, I think that gives big opportunity for a good risk reward, and I think this does head back up towards 14. Let's take a look at ARNC. Recent IPO list. We put this on watch a couple weeks ago for this break over 2230, and actually had a nice little move above the 2230, pulled back again, that resistance turning support, and then made a nice run and a huge breakout from 22 up to 29. And now again, it's just kind of pulled back, consolidated, almost made a flag right here, and we're just going to watch this $30 area and see if we can get a $30 breakout. It's traded good relative volume, it's got a very strong trend, obviously wants to go higher, and I think that next step is a $30 breakout. Next, let's take a look at ASB. Added this one to the watch list a while back for a potential break over this 2550 area, and as you can see, we kind of had a fake break over 2550, pulled back to the moving averages, and then now it's taken another stab at that 2550 resistance area. But this time it's been able to hold above that. So again, you see that resistance turning to support now, which gives you that good risk reward. You've got a nice hammer candle bouncing off that 20-day moving average. So again, just a great risk reward because you've got your 20-day and 50-day and a major support area all just below. You know, if those areas break or do not hold, then obviously the idea is not working, is not sticking. So you don't have to stay into the trade for any type of extended period of time. So keep an eye on this, see if that 2550 area does hold as support, and if it does, we could see a move back up and through 2650. Let's take a look at CLF. CLF, another one that's been just an awesome stock to trade. We've had a really hard time with this one. Over the last few weeks, you could see our buys and sells there, and they're actually really good buys. I was just slightly early, maybe a little bit too aggressive with my stops because the way that the market was looking, I think it was the right time to be aggressive with your stops. So I ended up getting stopped out of both of these positions, and of course, a huge breakout and great earnings report came only just a few days later. However, we are pulling back from that earnings report breakout now, and we've got a nice little doji here Friday, so I want to see if that doji holds and this become a new bottom. If it does, it gives me a risk down to the low, which is around 1125, and getting set up for a move back towards 1250. If that holds, may need more time, may want to come down to 11, which is another good resistance turn support area from our prior high, and it may want to come down to the 20 and 50-day moving averages. But either way, still remains on my top watch, and definitely one of my top watches into next week. If this doji does hold, this is going to give us a good bottom. Great risk reward, again, risking to that low 1125 for that move back up towards 1250. Let's take a look at GNRT. GNRT just caught my attention. It's been trading some more volume. As you can see, the relative volume over the last couple of months has increased pretty significantly, and it's set up for a possible trend reversal. If we see this breakout over this $5 area, that could definitely confirm a trend reversal. We've got the 20-day moving average crossed above that 50-day moving average, and you can see that hasn't really happened since April of last year. So it's almost been trending down for last year. First signs that we've had of a possible trend reversal. You could see an inverted head and shoulder type pattern coming on the bottom as well, or that W type pattern that you get to see come up on a bottoming pattern or a reversal pattern. So $5 is going to be the key on this one here, and of course we want to see that trend hold with the 20-day moving average staying above that 50-day moving average. Next, let's take a look at GSAT. We had GSAT on watch a couple weeks ago for a possible breakout bounce off this area here, and it did kind of work out, but never really put in the move quite that I was looking for. But it's still consolidating pretty nicely, and if you look, pretty big run up, nice short squeeze, and it's just been consolidating up here. It's catching up to its moving averages, so it really looks set up like it could push out another squeeze and maybe even get a chance to test back up towards this 220, 225 area. So I'm going to keep it on watch into next week. You still got your 20-day moving average up above that 50-day moving average, and again, just gives you a shot that this trend is going to continue in that upward direction. You've got good relative volume, and it hasn't completely broken out yet, so you've got a nice wedge forming right here, and just keep it on watch, see if we start breaking out to that top side, and we could have a shot coming back up to this 220 area. Let's take a look at HDSN. Nice little wedge forming up here at the top of HDSN. Now this is one of the ones that's just kind of missing some of that relative volume into this consolidation period. You've lost your 20-day moving average under that 50-day moving average, but however, you have this strong support area right around $7, and that's where the breakout, so resistance turn support in that area, and nevertheless it is forming a pretty good wedge pattern. So I'm going to keep it on watch into next week to see if this pattern holds up. And if we do start to get a breakout to the top side of this, where it looks like it's going to come out of the top side of the wedge, I think it could set us up for a move towards 850. Let's take a look at HK. We've had HK on watch for a couple weeks now. Had a reverse split back in early September, so that did reduce the amount of shares available in the float, and it has kind of just made this nice consolidating wedge pattern on the bottom. Big volume, big relative volume day back on January 25th, so that's a huge sign that something is brewing in the company. You've got a reverse split, you've got some big relative volume days showing some big buyers stepping in. So we're going to watch this wedge, see if we break out to the top side, and if we do, this could definitely be set up for a short squeeze and a nice little breakout play to the top side there, looking for moves up towards 1020, 1040, and maybe even up into 11 or 1120. Let's take a look at HCS. We had a great trade a few months back on HCS, which falls into the financial sector, which is also a pretty good sector right now that's been fairly strong. I like the consolidation that we have up here. We've kind of broken to the top side of that consolidation and pulled back. So again, you have kind of a scenario where you have a resistance turning into support. You've got 20, 50-day support right there as well, giving you a great risk-reward ratio, especially on an entry here. If this chart does continue green into Tuesday, it'll definitely set us up for a move back up towards 15 bucks and even set up to break out above 15. Let's take a look at INN. You got a standard ascending triangle set up here with your breakout up above the 1625 area. You got an obvious set of higher lows and an obvious uptrend with your 20-day moving average nicely above that 50-day moving averages. Everything kind of lining up right here, and this is kind of that part of the chart where you want to see it hold up. So we're going to be looking for that breakout next week over 1625. Had a pretty big volume day on Friday, so you might see that little sell-off where they try to clear everybody out, and then the breakout up through 1625. So keep an eye on that. If we do see a pullback and you get some type of hammer candle or doji like you've seen in the past here and here, that could give you a good intraday entry opportunity on an intraday reversal. Let's take a look at MYGN. MYGN just caught my attention because you've got this huge relative volume trading that's going on right now, and it's actually putting in a pretty nice reversal down here on the bottom. Going to be watching this 1883, 1939 area to see if we get a gap fill and maybe some type of potential pullback or consolidation before we head back up to that 1940 area. But solid candle on Friday, not huge volume, but still fairly good relative volume and enough to see a continuation move into Tuesday. So keep that on your top watch. I'm probably not going to chase it up into this gap fill 1940 area, but I do want to see it test that, maybe pull back, consolidate underneath that area for a good entry. Let's take a look at OCLR. OCLR, another one that we love to trade. You guys can see our trades all over the place there. And we just had a nice breakout back up above this 1050, 1025 area and actually started to flag out towards midweek. Friday opened up with a little gap down, but the buyer stepped in, pushed it up, and actually gave it a new high, 52-week high close up above 11 bucks. So going to watch this in the next week to see if we get some continuation through that $11 area and a nice trend continuation. Let's take a look at S. Sprint, also been a pretty good one to trade. Kind of a slower mover, so it's pretty good if you're got a smaller account or you're just trying to get into trading or try to learn, just in the way that the markets move. Sprint is a really good one for that. It's a lower cost stock. It's still under 10 bucks. We've traded all the way back at 5, 6, and 7 and sold it up above 8 and 9 bucks. It's been consolidating pretty good. It gave earnings and kind of sold off a little bit, but after a couple days of sell-off, buyers definitely stepped back in. You could see the good relative volume that is coming in, especially on Friday with a nice engulfing candle there, holding that 20-day and 50-day moving averages. Looks like it wants to go ahead and do a trend continuation. So you do have a good risk reward right here because you're risking just below 9 bucks and looking for a move up and through this 950 high. And or actually high here is 965, so you really want to see that move up and through 965. And I think that it definitely has a shot at testing 10 and probably even breaking up and out through 10, as there'll be a lot of breakout traders that are going to try to come in and buy it once it gets to that $10 mark. Next, let's take a look at TECK. Another one that we've traded for quite some time now, and got a little bit tough, back in late November, early December. It got really tough before this big sell-off, and we took a couple hits in it and a couple losses. But right into early January and going into early February, we really nailed some really big trades on this, which helped pay for a lot of the losses that we had during this little period. Plus, if you guys follow us, you know that we've been trading this all the way since $4. So it's gone up quite a bit during that time period. It released earnings last week on the 15th, and the numbers were actually pretty good. They weren't bad. I'm not really sure why the large sell-off occurred after report, but I'm definitely going to try and take advantage of that and see it as opportunity. I like the sellout here. If we can hold this $21 area, that's going to give a good opportunity. If we get continuation on Tuesday and you see a green candle starting to form again, I'm going to look to add to my position for one last time. And my first target is going to be that 20-day moving average, which is going to be probably right around $24 by the time we get there. So keep an eye on that. It's got good relative volume. Again, it had fairly good earnings, so I'm not sure why it sold off the way it did, which is why you don't trade earnings, because they never really make sense, and no matter what it does, it's going to probably do the opposite of what you think. But I do like the setup for Friday. Good relative volume. Definitely looks like it could be putting in a bottom here with that $21 area holding as support. Let's take a look at VIAV. VIAV is just another strong trending chart. It released earnings not too long ago, had a good report, and continued higher. And now it's just kind of putting in a nice little flag where it looks like there's some dip buyers stepping in. It traded really good relative volume over the last, say, 30 days. So it definitely deserves a spot on the top watch. And we're just going to look for a flag setup, breakout, and continuation on that for a move back up and through 1090 and hopefully 11.
Going to wrap it up for the swing trading watch list and market update for the week of February 21st, 2017. If you guys haven't already, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Don't forget to check out the website, eatsleeptrade.net. From there, you can follow me on Twitter as well as like our Facebook page so you can stay up to date on all the stocks that we are watching and trading. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.